Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Tom Prendergast, Chairman and CEO of the MTA, and it's my pleasure to welcome all of you as we unveil this new co-branded tourism campaign between New York State and the MTA to promote New York State's strength and resiliency after Superstorm Sandy. In addition to the I Love New York, Get Out of Town campaign, the MTA is thrilled to be part of this effort to promote the varied tourism opportunities we have in our great state. Even more, perhaps in this case, because we're promoting travel to those areas that have been hit hard by the storm. And building on the partnership we announced Monday, today we're announcing that we're expanding that campaign to specifically target tourism attractions in the Sandy-affected areas. Very soon, customers will be seeing new Metro cards highlighting all the places the MTA can take you that have bounced back after Sandy. We've printed 300,000 of these cards. And the I Love New York campaign is one of the first advertisers to take advantage that we recently made of the visibility we recently made available on the front of our Metro cards. We've printed cards featuring 6 different destinations. We have them for Long Island beaches, Long Beach, Staten Island, Coney Island, the Rockaways, and Howard Beach. Some people may want to collect them, but they're really commuter and visitor passports to those Sandy-affected areas. And we want visitors to use them. That's the purpose. We've also developed deals, discounts, and packages to promote attractions and tourist activities in the areas that were hardest hit by Sandy. And we'll be looking to do even more aggressive promotion of these areas because we know that bringing tourist dollars to these areas is a very important opportunity to hasten their recovery and to strengthen their local economies. For example, through our special promotions, you can take the subway to Coney Island, where you'll save at restaurants and a variety of different attractions. Or this weekend, you can take the Long Island Railroad to Port Jeff, holding its annual Harvest Festival on Saturday. The package includes discounted round-trip Long Island Railroad tickets, taxi vouchers, and a coupon good for offers at participating merchants. There are many more deals, and for more information on any of them, simply visit mta.info, look for tourist information in the lower left homepage, and click on the Deals and Getaways button. This campaign will also be featured in ads throughout our network, on bus and train cards, and on train platforms. And through this campaign, as we did right after Sandy, as we do every single day, MTA is once again demonstrating its power to drive the region's economy. This time by motivating our customers to get on board and travel the state that's come back from Sandy. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Ken Adams, the President and CEO of New York State's Empire State Development, to say a few words about this campaign.
Thank you, Tom, very much. And good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ken Adams. I'm the President and CEO of Empire State Development and the Commissioner of the New York State Department of Economic Development. A year ago, as we all know, Hurricane Sandy hit this area with incredible force and caused tremendous devastation. But it also, among the damage, cut off many communities from the tourism income that they depend on. And under Governor Cuomo's leadership, we've got to remember that tourism is now center stage as a major sector of the state's economy. And the good news is, generally speaking, tourism in New York State is a booming industry. In fact, it's the 5th largest employer in New York State, employing more than 700,000 people across the state. And tourism in New York produces more than $70 billion of annual economic activity. But it's hard to find tourists who want to visit a boardwalk if the boardwalk's been washed away by a storm. This was clear, very clear to Governor Cuomo, and he decided that we had to make major special investments to assist communities affected by the storm. Now, we witnessed more than $6 million of reduced traveler spending in Long Island alone in some of the communities that Tom just mentioned, and that resulted from the storm. So we've come back and worked hard to boost tourism in areas like that have suffered losses. In fact, our work that you're going to see today to boost tourism in these storm-affected areas is part of a $60 million funding commitment that the governor announced earlier this year, which is the highest amount of tourism spending in New York State history and actually puts us third in the nation in our state's investment, our state's spending to promote tourism. We're helping to rebuild communities, helping them to strengthen, renovate, and rebuild their attractions and their infrastructure for tourism so they can restore their tourism economies locally. And we're not done yet. Our efforts are going to continue as long as they're needed. And our current campaign, I'm about to show you 4 new TV commercials, but the campaign also features ads on trains that promote tourism to the communities that were hardest hit by Sandy, as Tom mentioned, but also communities upstate that were affected by Hurricane Irene and Tropical Storm Lee 2 years ago now. The ads are going to run beginning tomorrow, and they're going to run in 10 different media markets. So I'd like to ask our colleagues here to run the commercials, please, so we can all look at them.
New York State is no stranger to disaster, adversity, heartbreak. We may get knocked down, but a true New Yorker is never out. You see, we know a thing or two about big comebacks. So when Irene, Lee, and Sandy struck, we did what New Yorkers do best. We came together, neighbor helping neighbor, giving it all we've got, then giving it some more. And we're not just coming back, no. We're building back smarter, stronger, bigger than before. Because we're New Yorkers, and that's what we do. Visit New York State's rising communities and be a part of the comeback. We're better than before. We may get knocked down, but a true New Yorker is never out. So when Sandy struck a year ago, we did what New Yorkers do best. We came together, neighbor helping neighbor, and we're building back smarter, stronger, bigger than before. Because we're New Yorkers, and that's what we do. Visit New York State's rising communities and be a part of the comeback. We're better than before. We may get knocked down, but a true New Yorker is never out. So when Sandy struck our beaches and communities, we did what New Yorkers do best. We came together, neighbor helping neighbor, and we're building back smarter, stronger, better than before. Because we're New Yorkers, and that's what we do. Visit New York State's rising communities and be a part of the comeback. We're better than before. We may get knocked down, but a true New Yorker is never out. So when disaster struck, we did what New Yorkers do best. We came together, neighbor helping neighbor, and we're building back smarter, stronger, better than before. Because we're New Yorkers, and that's what we do. Visit New York State's rising communities and be a part of the comeback. We're better than before.
All right. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce Nino Russo. Nino's the owner of Gargiulo's Restaurant, a Coney Island institution for more than 100 years, going back to 1907. His family's restaurant sustained significant damage during Sandy last year, and 8 feet of water came rushing in, forcing Nino and his brothers to close for over a month. Today, he's going to tell us what it took to make his comeback. Nino?
Because I'm too short. I need a little stand thing because I'm Italian. Thank you, Ken. It is truly a pleasure to be here with the governor today. While preparing to evacuate for Hurricane Sandy, I really didn't think it was going to be too bad because prior year, we had Irene and we didn't have really much damage. When we returned in the restaurant the following day to inspect the damages, it was devastating. The Gargiulo's restaurant sustained approximately $3 million in damages. We did an immediate repair in the main dining room to get right back open, and we reopened on December 1st. All of the renovations were completely finished until the end of April, the beginning of May of 2013. Now that the summer is over and we're heading into the winter, this tourist campaign invites New Yorkers and tourists to drive or take a train to our beautiful Coney Island train station, and we need it now more than ever. The New York Aquarium, Dino's Wonder Wheel Park, the Brooklyn Cyclones had a really good summer considering everything that we've been through. Luna Park lit that parachute jump up like a Christmas tree, and it's spectacular when you come into Coney Island. You could see it from wherever you are, from the Verrazzano, anywhere. And no one can come to Coney without having a hot dog at Nathan's, right? Gargiulo's restaurant, the gift shops, and the stores, supported by the Alliance for Coney Island and Carlo Chisora, president of the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce, are open and excited to welcome the new tourists coming into Coney Island. Yes, Coney Island is back after the storm, stronger than ever, and the state of New York is investing in its recovery 100%. I'd like to thank the governor for his unwavering commitment to helping us build back better than before. And it's now my pleasure to introduce the governor of the great state of New York, Andrew Cuomo. You don't need this.
Thank you very much. First, Nino, that little thing is not because you're Italian. There's another reason. Let's have a big round of applause for Nino, Russo, and Gargiulo's. It's a pleasure to be with Tom Prendergast and the entire team of the MTA, and we thank them for the great work that they've done. Let's give them a round of applause. Ken Adams and the team at ESDC. There are two separate messages today. The first message, as you heard from Tom and Ken, the MTA is adding a dimension to their portfolio. We all think of the MTA as the vehicle to get to work Monday to Friday, but the MTA is more than that. Think of the MTA as, think of that Metro card as your passport to vacations, your passport to weekend destinations. Tourism is very big business here for us in the state of New York. It's good for the economy. It's good for our sense of community. And think of the MTA as the way to get there, not just the way to get to work, the way to get to vacation. We have so much in this beautiful state to see, beautiful parts of Long Island, the Hudson Valley, as well as New York City, and the MTA is the way to get there. You know, we're very good, human nature. When you think about vacation, you think about going to a destination, your first instinct is to look somewhere else. If you are in New York, there's no reason to look anywhere else. Whatever you could want to do, you can do right here in New York, and the MTA is the way to get there. And that's the point of the Metro card as your passport to see New York and to enjoy New York and to love New York. I think that's a great message for the MTA. I think it's great for the state overall, so I applaud them on that. The second point is, next week we're going to celebrate the one-year anniversary of Hurricane Sandy, believe it or not. It's been 1 year already. And for many people, and especially for the Sandy communities, as we call them, it's been a very, very long year indeed. Now, we said at the beginning of the year that our goal was not just to repair the damage done, but to find the silver lining, and the silver lining was these communities were going to be built back better than before. That's the message of those TV commercials. Build back better than before. Why? Because first, if you have to go through what we went through, you want it to be a net positive. Also, we learned something along the way, that Hurricane Sandy, storms Irene and Lee, which devastated upstate New York, I don't believe that it's the last we've seen of them. I think it's more the initiation, and that there's a new pattern of extreme weather that is going to repeat. And therefore, let's be ready for it. And what we went through with Hurricane Sandy, let's learn from it, and let's be better prepared for the next time. So as we're going through the rebuilding, reconstruction, let's take those lessons into account. Let's make changes. So if there's another extreme weather situation, less damage is done and we're better prepared for it. We had a one-day conference in Albany yesterday, where all the communities from across the state came to share their lessons of reconstruction. We call it the New York Rising Conference, where we literally said to communities, you plan your own reconstruction, and we will fund your reconstruction. Rather than government telling them what to do, we said, you tell us what you need. And they came and they presented their individual plans. First, the optimism, the positivism was really inspiring. And how the communities are taking an opportunity to build back better and stronger than before is really heartwarming. The MTA, which went through a terrible time, obviously, the MTA is going to be better than before. We have a federal supplemental appropriation of $32 billion in total. The Congress authorized for New York's reconstruction. A big part of that is going to go to infrastructure repair. A big part of that is going to go to the MTA. Just yesterday, federal government approved another payment, $3.5 billion, that we're going to use for the MTA. And this is going to go for reconstruction and for resiliency. New switches, new signals, new tunnel plugs, tunnel covers, covers for subway openings, storm barriers, pumps. So the MTA will be in better shape than they were when Sandy hit. Now, can you ever be fully prepared for any storm? No. In these situations, Mother Nature still wins. But can we learn from it? And can we do more work and have more preparation? You're exactly right. For those of us who were out there the night of Hurricane Sandy, you know firsthand how, in some ways, unprepared this infrastructure is for that kind of invasion by Mother Nature. So this $3.5 billion is going to go a long way towards making the MTA stronger than before. The communities that are rebuilding, they have the spirit, they have the energy, the progress is fantastic. The one piece we can do in this anniversary period, New Yorkers should get up, go out and visit the Sandy communities and celebrate with them. The one thing businesses need is traffic. What Gargiulo's needs is New Yorkers to go visit Gargiulo's. That's what Nino needs. And if we want to help these communities the way we've been helpful all along, and that is one of the beautiful stories of Hurricane Sandy, and one of the components of the silver lining, everybody talks about how tough New Yorkers are. We can be tough, but we are the most loving, most generous, most community-oriented people. And the outpouring of support to these Sandy communities was really something special. People couldn't do enough, and they couldn't give enough, and they just showed up voluntarily. So I know that spirit is there. Celebrate the anniversary, celebrate it with the Sandy communities. By visiting the Sandy communities, the MTA can take you there. Go to Gargiulo's, order the calamari oreganata. It is the best dish in the place for my money. Tell them the governor sent you, and you'll be treated well. Thank you, and God bless you.
He's a pretty good salesman. Before we wrap this up and go downstairs to Whitehall, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the governor. It was with his leadership, the decision he made early on to shut the entire network down, that enabled us to be put into plan and put into action what we needed to do to protect this valuable asset. And had he not taken that action, we could not have done that. He also showed leadership throughout the storm, and at one of the press conferences, he said something that resonated very clearly in my mind. One can argue whether global warming is occurring, one can argue what the causes are, but one cannot argue that the frequency and intensity of weather events like these is there, and it's our responsibility in keepers of the public asset to do all we can to protect that asset. So I'd like to thank you for that, and he's leading the effort to get us the money we need to be able to do that. Thank you very much. I'd now like to invite the press downstairs. We'd like to show you one of these trains that we have wrapped with car cards inside promoting the campaign, and it's right downstairs at Whitehall. So thank you very much.